He walked into the studio with a whistle in his head and walked out with the unofficial anthem of the Cold War. They said a 6-minute opera rock ballad with no chorus would never work on radio until it sold over 17 million copies. And when a pop icon told Queen to release a funky B-side as a single, it became their biggest hit ever. These aren't just the best-selling rock songs of all time. These are the tracks that broke rules, shattered records, and rewrote music history. And the stories behind them? They're even crazier than the numbers. After returning from military service in Germany, Elvis Presley was introduced to an English version of O Sole Mio sung by Tony Martin. He immediately saw potential in adapting it. With lyrics by Wally Gold and Aaron Schroeder, Presley recorded It's Now or Never on April 3, 1960 at RCA Studio B in Nashville. The single was released on July 5th and became an instant phenomenon. It sold around 20 million copies worldwide and topped the charts in both the United States and the United Kingdom. In the UK, its release was delayed due to publishing issues, but it still managed to receive over 1 million advance orders before hitting the shelves. This track marked a new era for Elvis. He shifted from his youthful rockabilly roots to a more mature, operatic ballad style. Its impact was lasting when re-released in 2005. The song returned to #1 in the UK, proving its timeless resonance across generations.
I hear the drums echoing tonight.
Africa was the last song recorded for Toto's Toto the Fourth album, and it started as a studio experiment. Keyboardist David Paich was inspired by a late-night documentary about humanitarian work in Africa. He began composing with a Yamaha CS-80 synthesizer, layering melodies with tribal-influenced rhythms. Drummer Jeff Porcaro added a signature groove based on his childhood fascination with African percussion. Despite the band's doubts, the song made it onto the album. Guitarist Steve Lukather even joked that if it became a hit, he'd walk naked down Sunset Boulevard. The track defied all expectations. Certified Diamond in 2024, Africa has sold over 15 million copies in the United States alone. The chorus, inspired by National Geographic articles and stories of missionary nuns, became an unlikely pop culture staple.
When we heed a certain call.
On the night of January 28, 1985, 45 of the biggest artists in the world gathered in one studio under the guidance of Quincy Jones. The track, co-written by Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie, was completed in one evening. Upon entering the studio, artists were greeted with a sign that read, "Check your ego at the door." The song became a massive international success, raising around $60 million for humanitarian aid. It sold over 20 million copies and reached #1 in more than 20 countries. Featuring voices like Bruce Springsteen, Stevie Wonder, Bob Dylan, and Ray Charles, it became a symbol of artistic unity. There were unexpected moments during the recording. Prince declined to attend, and Bob Dylan felt unsure about his part, eventually asking Stevie Wonder to guide him through an earpiece. Which voice stood out the most to you in that all-star lineup? Name your favorite performance from the track in the comments. Klaus Meine wrote Wind of Change after performing at the Moscow Music Peace Festival in 1989. He was deeply moved by the atmosphere of political transformation in the Soviet Union. That sense of hope and uncertainty shaped the lyrics, and the iconic whistle came naturally during the songwriting process. Released in 1991, the single sold over 14 million copies worldwide. It unintentionally became an unofficial anthem for the fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of the Eastern Bloc. The song's message of unity resonated across generations and borders. Its cultural weight sparked theories years later, suggesting it had geopolitical influence. Though the band denies those claims, they acknowledge the unexpected power of music. Released in October 1981, Don't Stop Believin' was written by Steve Perry, Jonathan Cain, and Neil Schon. It broke industry norms by saving its chorus for the final moments of the song, something rarely done in commercial rock at the time. Though it didn't hit #1 during its original run, the track was certified double diamond in 2024 with over 25 million units sold. It found new life decades later through its inclusion in The Sopranos and Glee, becoming a global anthem for hope and resilience. Written by John Bon Jovi, Richie Sambora, and Desmond Child, Livin' on a Prayer was released in late 1986 as part of the album Slippery When Wet. It tells the story of Tommy and Gina, a working-class couple trying to make it through tough times, which struck a chord with listeners around the world. The track's use of the talkbox by Sambora created a signature sound that's instantly recognizable. It reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became Bon Jovi's first major global hit. Its music video, showing Bon Jovi suspended over an empty stage, became an MTV staple. In 2024, the song was certified diamond with more than 14 million copies sold. The chorus, which doesn't appear until after the 3-minute mark, became one of the most shouted refrains in rock history. It remains Bon Jovi's defining anthem. Be honest, is this your favorite Bon Jovi song? If not, then which one do you prefer? Leave the name in the comments to see who has the same taste as you. Though Freddie Mercury often introduced the song as their disco adventure, it was bassist John Deacon who conceived Another One Bites the Dust. Inspired by Good Times by Cheek, Deacon recorded the bass line using a borrowed amplifier and layered it with echo effects to create its distinctive groove. The song was included on Queen's 1980 album The Game and became its third single. Michael Jackson, after hearing it backstage at a show in Los Angeles, personally urged the band to release it. That tip proved crucial. Another One Bites the Dust topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 3 weeks and sold over 12 million copies globally. It became Queen's best-selling single, earning them an American Music Award and a Grammy nomination. The bass line remains one of the most sampled and referenced in music history. Over 1 billion streams on Spotify confirm its place as a timeless genre-crossing hit. Rock Around the Clock was recorded on April 12, 1954 at the Pythian Temple in New York. Initially, it didn't gain much attention. But when it was featured in the opening credits of the film Blackboard Jungle a year later, it exploded in popularity. According to Guinness World Records, the song sold more than 25 million copies, making it the highest-selling vinyl single ever by a band. Its 12-bar blues structure, electrifying guitar solo by Danny Cedrone, and catchy lyrics introduced a new sound to mainstream America. The track reached #1 in both the US and the UK and re-entered the charts multiple times throughout the 60s and 70s. In 2018, it was preserved by the U.S. Library of Congress for its cultural significance. Back in Black was the second single from AC/DC's album of the same name, released in 1980. It introduced new vocalist Brian Johnson following the untimely passing of original frontman Bon Scott. The iconic opening riff was created during sessions in the Bahamas under producer Mutt Lange's guidance. Built around just 3 chords, the riff's raw power and simplicity became a benchmark for hard rock. The track sold more than 13 million copies in the United States, while the album achieved 26 times platinum certification, making it one of the best-selling records of all time. Johnson wrote the lyrics as a tribute, not a lament. That's why the song opens with a tolling bell, a symbolic farewell. Despite peaking at number 37 on the Billboard Hot 100, Back in Black became a cultural staple, appearing in numerous films and live events. Released on October 31, 1975 as the lead single from A Night at the Opera, Bohemian Rhapsody fused ballad, opera, and hard rock into a 6-minute epic. Freddie Mercury wrote the entire song, refusing to explain its meaning, which only added to its mystique. The band recorded it across 5 different studios to create its signature operatic section. Despite concerns that radio wouldn't play such a long and unconventional song, one UK station gave it full airtime, and the public responded immediately. The track has sold over 17 million copies worldwide. Its groundbreaking music video, showing the band silhouetted against a black background, became a visual reference point for decades. And there you have it, 10 tracks that didn't just top charts, they helped shape what rock music is. Behind every riff and chorus, there's a wild story, a stroke of luck, or a bold decision that changed everything. Now it's your turn. Which of these songs do you think actually deserves the #1 spot? Or maybe there's a rock anthem you feel got totally overlooked. Drop it in the comments. We're reading everything. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. We've got way more music stories headed your way.